Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a sensitive yet incredibly important topic. When someone no longer loves you, these are the 5 earliest signs they're emotionally pulling away. If you've ever felt that the relationships around you are becoming unclear, or if you're concerned about the changes in someone's feelings, don't rush to conclusions. Let's explore the early signs of emotional distance and what we can do when faced with these changes. Because no matter our age, emotions always matter, and you deserve to be loved and valued at every stage of life. Take a few minutes with me, and I believe you'll discover something valuable about your own life and relationships. Elaine and I were sitting by the window in her cozy living room when she started sharing her story. She looked at her hands, the hands that had once lovingly tended her garden with her husband, the hands that had held his in countless quiet moments. But now, those hands rested silently in her lap. She said, "At first, I thought it was just old age, you know. Maybe he was just tired or stressed, but slowly I realized he was no longer looking at me the way he used to. It was like a part of him just disappeared, and I was left alone in this relationship." Elaine's words resonated deeply with me. She wasn't speaking just about her relationship. She was speaking to something many of us feel deep down, especially as we age: the pain of emotional disconnection. Over time, love doesn't always fade through dramatic fights or arguments. Sometimes it fades quietly, gradually, silently. The first sign is when they stop making you feel special in their presence. At first, it's subtle. The compliments may become fewer, the eye contact more distant, and the warmth that once radiated from their gaze slowly cools. You find yourself wondering, did I do something wrong? Or have I changed in some way? But the truth is, it's not about what you did or didn't do. It's about how they no longer see you in the same way. The spark, the deep affection that once seemed so natural, has started to dim. Elaine confided in me that she tried to reignite the spark by reminding him of their past. She would bring up old memories, like their summer trips or how they used to dance in the living room to their favorite song. But he didn't respond the way he used to. "It's like he doesn't remember those moments anymore," she sighed. "The love we had, the bond we shared, it feels like it's all fading away." This gradual change is painful, but it's also something we need to acknowledge. When you feel like you're no longer the special person in their eyes, it can shake you to your core. The second sign is when they stop sharing their inner world with you. When someone loves you, they want to share their thoughts, their worries, their little victories, and even their small failures. These daily exchanges, sometimes about big things, sometimes about small details, keep the connection alive. But when love starts to pull away, these exchanges become fewer. The conversations turn to small talk, and eventually they may stop talking altogether. I spoke with Jerome, a retired teacher in his late 60s, who shared something I'll never forget. He said, "In the beginning, my wife told me everything, even the smallest details, what happened at the grocery store, the funny things she overheard in the cafe. But over time, it changed. I started to realize that I was the last one to know what was going on in her life, and I didn't even know how to fix it." Jerome's words were poignant. This subtle shift is one that many of us can relate to. It's not that the person we love stops talking to us. They just stop sharing the intimate details that once made us feel close. It's the silence that speaks louder than words. Elaine told me she thought it was just a phase. Maybe he was tired or stressed or going through something difficult. But soon, she realized that the silence wasn't just temporary. It had become the new normal. The third sign is when physical affection no longer carries meaning. Touch is more than just physical contact. It's a way to communicate love. It's the reassurance of a hand on your shoulder, the warmth of an embrace, or the simple gesture of holding hands while watching TV. But when emotional distance grows, even physical touch can feel hollow. You might still hug, kiss, or hold hands, but there's no warmth behind it. It becomes a habit rather than a meaningful exchange. I watched the elderly couple next door who had always been so affectionate. They'd sit together on the porch, hands intertwined, sharing quiet moments in the fading light of day. But over the past few months, things had changed. They still sat together, but the distance between them grew. They no longer held hands. They no longer looked at each other the same way. I asked Elaine if she had noticed the same thing in her relationship. She said, yes. At first, I thought it was just the weight of old age, but soon I realized that the physical closeness we once shared had disappeared. I missed his touch, even though we were still sitting next to each other. When touch loses its meaning, it's a powerful signal that emotional intimacy is slipping away. This is not something we can ignore. The fourth sign is when they begin to build a world without you in it. At first, this might seem like nothing more than a few small, unimportant actions. They might take a walk alone. They might start going out with friends more often without including your yush. They might even start spending time in places where you're not welcome, or talking about people you've never met. It's not that they're necessarily doing something wrong. It's just that their world is starting to feel separate from yours. Elaine shared something that broke my heart. I used to be the first person he'd turn to for company, but now it feels like he'd rather do things without me. He'll go to the store alone or go out to lunch with his friends, and I won't even know about it until he comes back and says, "Oh, I forgot to pick up that thing for you." It's like I'm invisible. This slow withdrawal from shared activities and decisions is another sign that emotional detachment is taking root. When someone begins to live their life without you in it, it's not just about physical absence, it's the emotional distance that follows. And finally, the fifth sign is when your presence no longer moves their emotions. This is perhaps the hardest to accept. When you walk into the room and they don't light up, when your smile no longer brings them comfort, when your voice no longer soothes their heart. At the beginning of a relationship, just seeing the other person brings a rush of joy. But as time passes, the emotional impact of your presence fades, and you start to wonder if they even notice you anymore. Elaine said, "There are days when I stand by the window and watch him working in the garden, hoping he'll look up and see me, hoping he'll smile. But he doesn't. He's just lost in his own world, and I'm left standing there waiting for a glance." When you stop making an emotional impact, it's a sign that the bond is no longer the same. It's heartbreaking, but it's also a reality many of us face. When I shared these signs with Elaine, she didn't cry. She simply stared out the window, her gaze distant, and then said, "Maybe love doesn't disappear, it just changes in ways we don't recognize anymore." And that's the truth. When someone no longer loves you the way they used to, it doesn't mean they don't care. It just means love evolves, often in ways that are hard to accept. But that doesn't mean we have to give up on love entirely. It might be time to turn inward and reconnect with yourself. To ask yourself if you're truly living the life you want to live, even without the emotional closeness you once had. At 60, 70, or even 80, we still deserve love. We still deserve to feel cherished. And while the world may tell us that love fades as we grow older, the truth is that love doesn't disappear. It just changes. And sometimes we need to learn how to love ourselves again before we can truly invite love back into our lives. Elaine didn't give up. She didn't leave her husband, but she found her own path through meditation, gentle exercise, and even journaling. And in time, her husband noticed. Not because she was waiting for him to change, but because she had started changing herself. If you recognize these signs in your relationship, remember, you're not alone. Many people in their later years face these same feelings of emotional detachment. But what they've also found is that it's never too late to reclaim your happiness, your love, and your life. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and support the channel. And if you'd like to continue exploring ways to understand and nurture yourself in your later years, please subscribe. There are many more stories ahead. You deserve love, respect, and joy at every stage of life. And it's never too late to start again.